I'll be honest, guys. I'm not exactly the greatest freestyler in the world. I'm sorry. I'm just not. Is what I would have said before this video. Look at these shots. Look at these goals that you're seeing on your screen right now. That's me. I'm hitting those shots. Actually, that's not me. That's actually Pulse OSM. So, that's that. But you know what? That doesn't matter. Just because I'm not this crazy freestyle guy that can do triple resets on command doesn't mean I can't learn some crazy mechanics like the Breezy Flick, the double flip reset, the 180 wave dash flick, the Pogo, and the flip reset double tap, but not like the normal one. So you know what? We're gonna be trying it out today. As a matter of fact, we're doing exactly those 5. These 5 mechanics are totally new to me. I've never actually sat down and tried to learn these for longer than like 2 minutes before, so I'm basically starting from scratch. So the challenge for me is to try and learn all these mechanics to the point where I can pull them off in a real game in just 5 days. That's 1 mechanic for each day, in case you didn't pass 3rd grade math. This is a pretty tough task, I would say, but I'm up for it. Anyway, I'm gonna walk you through my overall learning process for these, so here's how it all went. So the Breezy Flick is definitely one of the most requested mechanics for me to learn by my Twitch chat. I don't know what it is about it. Personally, I've never thought it was that cool, and it's definitely not useful competitively, which is why I put off learning it for so long. But after actually trying this, it's way harder than it looks. The idea is that you do a tornado spin, but you let go of air roll part of the way through, so it does this sort of motion. If you time it just right, your car will end up in this position here, which is the perfect spot to go for a musty flick by backflipping. And since your nose is pointed downward, when you backflip, it actually sends your car's momentum forward, which is where the real power comes from. Seems simple enough. I got the motion down without the ball and then tried it again with the ball, but I wasn't even getting close. What the heck? After about 50 failed attempts where I clearly was going about the entire thing wrong, I finally realized that what all the other tutorials I had watched failed to mention for me was that the ball is acting like a boulder on your car that's just weighing you down. It's like you're training for a jumping competition, right? So you're practicing jumping 50 times a day, but when you finally get to the competition, they're like, oh yeah, you have to wear this 50-pound vest while you're doing it. So you're clearly not able to jump as high and you lose. That analogy probably made no sense, but the point is, I had to go back to doing that motion without the ball, but this time I added boost in the spot where my nose is pointing straight up, so I'd be boosting upward in that moment. Doing that would pretty much counteract the weight of the ball, at least in theory. Once I got this new motion down, I added the ball to it again, and even though I wasn't able to flick it immediately, it had definitely clicked for me. The height was no longer an issue. After just about a half hour more of practice, I finally did it. That's got to be like the best Athena flick you've ever seen, right? And then I did it again. But it's okay, because like 5 minutes later, I finally got it in the goal. But even though I did it in free play, I kept putting practice into it because, again, the final goal for each of these is to do it in a real game. And sure enough, the next day on stream, it happened. Oh! Let's go! Let's go! Oh my gosh. First Breezy in-game. Breezy Flick. First Breezy. Done. Alright, next is the double flip reset, also called the rapid reset. The rapid reset basically is just a normal double flip reset, except it's specifically the type in which you pre-flip into your second reset. It looks something like this. So the thing is, I've done a double reset before in free play, but it wasn't that particular type. It was the type where you get the first reset, and then you stall underneath the ball for the second one. That's the type I've done before. But the rapid reset is something that I never really practiced, and it's the sort of mechanic that requires a ton of trial and error and doesn't have many tips to go with it. So I basically just had to grind it out. The only really aha moment I had was when I realized that I needed to hold air roll right on my flip cancel. So you can see me practicing the motion here. I basically realized that I was rolling over too much on the second reset, so I tried practicing holding air roll at the end of it. I ended up getting some pretty janky ones in custom training, and then I moved into free play and got a couple better looking ones there. By the way, this whole process was over the course of an entire day almost, so you're not really seeing all the shots that I wasn't even close on, but trust me, they are there. In fact, probably 90% of my attempts look just like this. But anyway, after I felt like I could at least get a really sloppy one to go in at all every 30 attempts or so, which was after like 4 or 5 hours of total practice, I went into casual ones and I found this guy who was kind of ball chasing a lot. He was just getting too close to me in most plays, so I was like, all right, I'll just punish him over and over again until he finally gives me the space I need. And let's just say he wasn't a very fast learner. The score ended up being 9-1, and apparently that's where the turning point was where he decided to stop playing. And well, technically, this is a real online match, so I took advantage. He literally didn't play at all the next game, but he stayed in the match, so I was trying over and over to get it, but I just couldn't for some reason. I don't know why I was suddenly choking. I definitely had more than 30 attempts. I did get this one shot, which kinda counts, but it did explode before I could get the second touch, so it's not exactly what I was going for, but in the final few seconds of the match, this is what happened. You're kidding me! No! Ah, no! No! Yeah, I still don't know if that was going in or not, but regardless, you could say I was a little heated after that. So you know what? Heck this. Heck everything. I'm done. Next mechanic. Real quick, just a little reminder, I want you to hit that subscribe button right now. That's it. Anyway, let's continue. Next up is the 180 wave dash flick. This is definitely the weirdest one. It looks like this. I have never practiced any aspect of this. I've never done this weird wave dash before, and I've almost never practiced 180-degree flicks, so this is probably going to be a bit tough to learn in just a day. I looked at some tutorials, and the overall movement looked somewhat simple in theory, but when you actually go and try it out, it's extremely hard to get consistent. Here's how you do it. You start by jumping up and boosting downward like you would for a normal wave dash, but you tilt to land on the front right corner, and then you do a forward wave dash and flip cancel. If you don't do the cancel, then it looks like this, and that's not what you want. Then as your car is spinning around, you need to keep holding that cancel and hold power slide and arrow left to help flatten out your car. From there, you should also switch to holding your reverse button, and once you're pointing completely backwards, you can half flip for the flick. That is a lot of inputs that need to be done in less than a second. Going into this, I had no clue it would be that complex, but after about 2 hours, I finally managed to get the motion down somewhat consistently. But at the same time, my hands were kind of hurting a little bit. Yeah, who knew practicing a mechanic that requires 10 different inputs within the matter of a second for 2 hours straight would actually make your hands hurt? Not me. So I decided to take a break and come back to it an hour later, but when I actually did come back, I couldn't get the motion again. It was like I had gone back an hour in progress. Unlike with other mechanics, with this one, taking a break actually put me backwards in progress. So it took me about 30 minutes to get back to where I was in terms of consistency, and once I was there, I finally tried adding the ball to it, expecting to get a good one in a few minutes. But yeah, that's not how it works. Little did I know, pretty much the same thing was happening as what happened with the Breezy Flick. The ball was acting like a boulder weighing me down on my initial jump, and all that muscle memory I had been building up in the last few hours felt like it went completely out the window. But I kept trying for a couple more hours anyway to hopefully eventually get it down, and I did end up getting a couple in custom training and in free play. I got to the point where I could get a decent one every 15 minutes or so if I was constantly attempting it over and over again. I think I averaged out to hitting it once every 100 tries or so. So my hands started hurting again a little, and I tried taking another break, but when I came back to it, yeah, I was back to the point where I couldn't do the motion again. So heck that. Next up is the Pogo. If you guys don't know what this is, it's pretty much exactly what you'd expect. You land on the front corner of your car, and it hopefully pops you straight up, so you're bouncing up with the ball, and you can finish it off for a shot. Very simple. What you're seeing on screen now is my first few attempts at getting the bounce itself. So you can see here, this is actually my first attempt. I actually got it on my first attempt, but afterwards you can see I was struggling with it. And I don't think I got it again until my 10th attempt, actually. So at that point, I was just confused. I didn't know what the difference was between when I got the bounce and when I didn't. And that's really the thing about it. It's weird because it looks super easy, but it's going to be incredibly inconsistent unless you actually go in free play and try it out and try to learn it yourself. But until then, luck is going to be a huge factor of if you're actually going to get the bounce or if you're just going to flop right on your nose. So what I eventually learned after trial and error was that the main points about the Pogo were that you need to hit the front corner of your car on the ground specifically, and that you should have the roof of your car facing the camera, because if you have the underside facing you, you'll have a tendency to just flop on your wheels. And that's more of an anti-Pogo, I would say. It also helps to tap car cam for a moment to kind of align yourself in the air when you're first learning. So after I felt like I could get it about 50% of the time in free play, I hopped into casual ones, and I noticed that it was pretty much impossible to do it in a real online match because it was totally obvious when I wasn't hitting it in the air. So I instead 1v1'd a friend, and we decided that we would call it a respectful 1v1. And after about 2 games, I ended up getting it. Pogo, done. Okay, the flip reset double tap, but not like the normal one. You're probably like, what does that even mean? And what I mean by that is it's not getting a flip reset and then getting a double touch like what you're seeing me do now. I've done that before, even in a game. What I actually mean is your initial touch to the backboard is a hard touch with your wheels, so that's where you get the reset, and then you finish it off by using your flip for the second touch. The first time I saw this was in RLCS Season 9, I think, where Astral ended up hitting one at 0 seconds. This honestly has to be one of the most underrated RLCS goals of all time. But anyway, I created a training pack, and it only took about 15 tries to get my first one. But then again, there's absolutely no pressure, and it's pretty much as perfect of a setup as you can get. Probably not going to happen in a real game. So I added some more shots where it was a little harder, and although the way I went about all of them was a little different for each, I realized that what they all had in common, just like with most of these mechanics, was that the setup is by far the most important. The finish itself is easy. So as long as I could get a good first initial touch that put the ball and my car in a good spot to finish it, I could score it most of the time. After surprisingly only about an hour of practice, I was able to get one in every 5 tries or so. The only thing I was worried about, though, was that I had no clue how many chances I was going to get for this in-game. Considering it's a shot that should be practiced in custom training, it's not usually one that you set up on your own, so it likely won't happen in ones. And when you try doing it in 2s and 3s, you have so many more things to worry about. But despite my worries, this ended up happening on stream. Can't reach that before it bounces. Going for the double. Oh! There's no way! There's no way! Flip reset, double tap. My God. Done. Thanks for watching. Yes! Yes! Go! Faster! 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 There. I'm gonna use... Okay, I think we're good.